This episode is brought to you by State Farm. From your morning podcast to your afternoon playlist, State Farm knows you personalize your entire day, and that's why State Farm helps you personalize your insurance with the State Farm Personal Price Plan. It offers coverage options that help protect what you care about most at an affordable price just for you. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices vary by state. Options selected by customer. Availability and eligibility may vary.
Hey, this is Kevin Young with the band Disciple, and you are listening to the Brutally Delicious Podcast.
1, 2, 3, 4. The Brutally Delicious Podcast. The Brutally Delicious Podcast. The Brutally Delicious Podcast. The Brutally Delicious Podcast.
Let me first jump in and say, I think we probably missed each other by a couple of years, but we kind of grew up in the same sort of circles, I think, because I grew up listening to like the Rez Band and Milo and Lefebvre and
Man.
Saint. Remember Saint?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And I remember
That's so cool.
Yeah, and then I remember like I'm reading your bio and I'm listening to your stuff and I'm like, wow, I remember how hard it was just to be the guy listening to the Rez Band or the Daniel Band or any of that stuff, right? I mean, persecuted every day.
Yeah.
Both sides.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Right? Because your parents, I mean, the churches I grew up in a church that like had the burning records once a year and, it was all terrible. We had tried to start a Christian metal band and all that kind of junk.
Oh, yeah.
Like right around Striper and Trouble.
Has the podcast started? Are we good?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, same experience. I burned all my secular albums, of course, just to go buy them again later.
Yes.
I think that's the experience of almost every person that burned their stuff. I don't know anybody that burned their stuff that didn't go buy it again.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So totally from the same thing. My mother was very upset at my decision to consume Christian rock music. It was not welcome.
And it was not welcome at school either, right? Everybody's like, what the heck are you doing? So you were in this weird little position that I think only, this kind of group can relate to.
I remember this kid getting kicked out of gym class for wearing a "To Hell with the Devil" shirt.
Crazy.
Yeah, he totally did. And I was thinking, that's insane. That's a Christian t-shirt. But of course, they're like, no, you can't say that. I guess, whatever. Yeah. So it wasn't about that it was Christian. It was about it said "To Hell with the Devil." So yeah,
sorry.
Yeah.
I took it down memory lane, but I couldn't help but think about
it's
it.
fun.
It's like, man, that's where I grew up. And not many people I talk to, because I do this a lot and talk to people around the world. Not many people I talk to are familiar with that sort of era. I don't know what it was. Subculture.
Absolutely unculture, for sure.
Like, did you grow up around the Cornerstone and stuff too?
Well, I grew up playing there. I never went there until we started playing there. I think we played our first one in like 98, 97, maybe 98. And I think there's a couple of them that were online. You can search them up on YouTube, like maybe 99, 2000 of us playing.
I used to go with my buddy. You probably know him too. Well, he was Scott Albert, but Circle of Dust and now Cell Dweller or whatever. I mean, he was like one of my best friends. I was just talking to him yesterday.
Oh, that's cool. No, I've never met him, but I know who he is.
And Clank, remember those guys?
Clank, yeah, man.
I'm real good friends with them.
You're dusting off all the cobwebs in the back of my brain right now.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So anyway, sorry, we just went down a rabbit hole that I could probably talk about forever. What's it like 30 years out now? I mean, new single. I've been listening to it. Absolutely killer.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, I like it. It's got that nice modern sound, but it's heavy and it gets heavy.
Yeah. It's I'm just so very thankful to still be playing music. So very just really, really thankful. For many reasons. Number one, I feel like it's what I was called to do. Number two, I burned all the boats. So I can't, there's no plan B. There never has been. And
Oh, you were in right from the go.
Oh man, like when my youth pastor gave me a White Cross album in 1987, and White Cross in '87 was like, to me, sounded like Rat, and uh, Rat in '87 was like this cutting edge rock band that only rebel kids listen to that stuff. And so here's this band that sounds like Rat. It's real metal. Of course, no one would call it metal today, but it 1,000% was metal
I
for
agree. Yeah.
1987. Then anybody that disagrees can just wasn't alive for it, Then it was so hard, so heavy, just these massive guitar solos and this singer that was just so aggressive. And he was saying all these things. It was out of left field to me. I was like, Jesus, what is this? And my youth pastor gave it to me, and he was like, and he goes, I think you should have this. I think you'd like this, because he knew I was, into rock music, but White Cross was so much heavier than anything I was listening to. I mean, I was listening to stuff like Bon Jovi and Night Ranger and Europe and Heart. Those were my go-to. They were a little bit more mainstream, a little more pop radio. I loved the Europe, the Final Countdown album. It's one of the greatest albums ever made. Not a bad song on the album. But White Cross was like so much heavier, and I was blown away by it, honestly. And so yeah, to answer your question, I in it right from the get go. Like, as soon as I heard it, I couldn't get enough. I couldn't believe it, because I loved the music, but the message was so powerful. And it's kind of I tell people, if I just talk about, Jesus with somebody, or talk about how much, like they're made in the image of God, how special they are, how important their life is, I could say those things to them and they might hear me. But when you put that powerful message to music, music has this way of just breaking down every wall around your soul and around your heart. And so I say the exact same words to a song, and now someone's actually listening.
Right.
That they are made in the image of God, that their life does matter. They're not here by accident, and there is a purpose for them. They hear these things and they're just like, yeah, I think you're right. Um, so yeah, that's the music that changed my life. And when I saw him play, I was like, this is amazing. This is what I want to do. My dad was a singer, and so there was a band that started in middle school, and friends of mine, and they said, we need a singer. I said, I'll be your singer. And I just started singing what I loved and writing what I loved, the music that changed my life. I started, writing songs like that. And so, yeah, from eighth grade, yeah, there's no plan B.
That's great. You mentioned White Cross. It's funny because I had Rex on the show. I don't know, within the last couple months, they put out a record, or 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was on. What a good guy.
It's awesome.
So how much, I mean, obviously your lyrics are, Christian based and inspiring, but how much responsibility do you feel to your audience when writing those lyrics?
I don't know. I've never really looked at it that way. Responsibility. Maybe I should. I just
I'm
try
not
to.
questioning you at all. I'm
No,
just
sure,
curious.
sure, sure. No, no, no. It's a great question. And I'm thankful for the question. No, I think I just focus on creating art that's real to me. I'm just a passionate believer in Christ, but I also try to be really honest about my frailty and how I am not perfect and have made um, massive mistakes as a human being and as a Christian. And I just try to be honest and write about those things, and try to be very relatable to the people that I'm writing. So I don't necessarily feel responsibility, but I feel like honesty is probably the best thing, as opposed to writing what I think they need to hear. I try to write something that's honest to me, and writing about living up to what I believe, and how sometimes it's hard to trust, you know, God, like that. I could sit here and easily say, um, there's nothing you would ever ask me to do that would harm me. But when it comes down to that moment of life, whatever choice is being made, sometimes I still don't, even all these years later, sometimes I still don't choose him. I'll choose something else. And um, I write about it, and I think that that's a real conversation. As opposed to coming across as like I have all the answers and I know everything about everything.
But I
I am
think that
not
honesty
that at
and
all.
yeah, and I think that honesty and I don't know what the word is, makes it real organic and makes it more relatable, right?
Yeah, there's a certain element of vulnerability that makes it relatable because yeah, I think I don't really ever have to apologize to anybody when I'm being honest.
Right. You ever
So
feel like you put too much of yourself in, or you've been too vulnerable, especially in this sort of
yeah.
genre, the Christian
Oh,
metal genre or whatever?
oh yeah. I mean, there's an absolute certain amount of like you have to just stop caring about what anybody thinks. And that's so tough, man. I mean, obviously you interview a lot of artists,
Right.
and I would say 100% of everyone you interview, if we're artists, we're all cripplingly insecure. And I mean, it's the nature of the business that we're in. It's so our whether we succeed or fail in our business depends on if people like us or not.
Right.
If people don't like us, then our bills don't get paid,
Right.
you know? And so we're constantly insecure. So we're thankful for the 99 people that said they liked our new album, but that one person that said they hated it, I mean, we know their name. You know what I
Right.
mean? Dude, yeah, we know exactly who they are. We know what their profile picture on social media looks like. And it hurts. And so it takes time to get over that and to stop reading those comments and to stop letting those things have currency or weight in your life and just be okay with who you are and know that you're creating art and somebody likes it and that there's always going to be somebody out there spewing whatever. Um, and that helps me to be okay, because I really do appreciate everyone's art, no matter how negative or violent or destructive it may be. I really do try to do my best to appreciate it. And I think that me being honest and vulnerable might help someone who's not a Christian appreciate our art. I mean, that's one of my favorite comments is from someone who's commenting on our music. If they started off with "I'm not a Christian,"
Right.
and then they say whatever they think about us, it's one of my favorite things in the
I
world to
think you
read.
touched on something pretty interesting there. So I think when you like transcend that, take that extra step or those extra steps, it definitely makes it super real, right? And I think you're going to connect on a so much deeper level. Does that make sense?
Well, so yeah, I mean that's the point. Is that like I said, we feel like we're saying something,
Right.
and that if I were just to say it would do something. But if we put it in a song, hopefully people feel something. And um, you know,
I think that's
when
where
you
art is
write,
the most powerful when you transcend that and take those extra steps.
I mean, think about any song that means anything. I mean, all the way back to "We're Not Gonna Take It" by Twisted Sister.
Right.
You know, it's fun, but it's also like really passionate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And like, there's a moment in your life where you'll crank that song and you will mean it. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
Like I can sit here and say it, but that song makes it just like 1,000 times more, you know, real. And yeah, that's it. Like, I love to talk to people about thoughts of suicide because I've been there. I love to talk to people about falling because I've been there. I love to talk to people about losing control and being powerless, step one, as it is called. And because I've been there. And I love to, write about it because it's real to me. You know, I try not to write about things that aren't real to me. I do sometimes, but I try not to because it comes off a little, disingenuous, But sometimes if I'm writing about something that's not real to me, it's like just trying to be creative and write something different. But the songs that are the most effective are the ones that are genuine.
This is a message from sponsor Intuit TurboTax. Taxes was getting frustrated by your forms. Now, Taxes is uploading your forms with a snap, and a TurboTax expert will do your taxes for you. One who's backed by the latest tech, which cross-checks millions of data points for absolute accuracy, all of which makes it easy for you to get the most money back, guaranteed. Get an expert now at TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live Full Service. See guaranteed details at TurboTax.com/guarantees.
How mind-blowing and how humbling is it when those people come to you after a show and say, hey, that got me through, you just had suicide or whatever?
Honestly, man, I just come to expect it, and it's crazy. Like we have a new bus driver right now, and he just like approached me, with tears in his eyes, and he was like, this these kids, they're talking about committing suicide. This guy said he was gonna not commit suicide, or our bus tire blew up, and this guy like right, you know, 10 minutes before he was supposed to even be open, he still answered the phone anyway, came out, changed our bus tire, blah, blah, blah. He came to the show that night, brought somebody else. That person was dealing with suicide, heard the message, decided to live. He's bus driver's like telling me all this with like tears in his eyes.
Right.
And I'm just sitting there stone faced, and I'm like, yeah, it's crazy. And I said, I know that probably seems, you know, whatever coming from me. I was like, this is like number 100,006. It's like, I don't even,
Right.
I just expect it at this point. I don't necessarily, and it's not like me being prideful. It's like, that is the message, man. I mean, when people hear the message that they matter, that their life matters, that God, if you woke up this morning, that means God's not finished with you yet. And hearing me say it is one thing, but hearing it through song, it's powerful, it's life changing, and yeah, it affects me on the level of like, yeah, I believe in that message so much that I just expect that. I have full expectation there are going to be people, and that God is going to somehow miraculously drive people into that concert to hear that message. And I don't know how they got there. I don't know who brought them. I don't know how they heard about the band. I just know he's going to just somehow create a way for them to be there that night. And it's going to happen. And we're going to hear about it. And I'm going to have no idea what to say. I never know what to say. There's never been a response that I've come up with that felt like, the right one to just keep going with that one. It's always like, I'm just standing there speechless. I'm like,
Right.
somebody tells me, something, and it's usually whatever is the opposite of followed. Whatever they say before the story is usually is something that's really dark and heavy and tragic, and something extremely violent or awful that has happened to them physically, or spiritually or emotionally, and you're just thankful that they're standing there in front of you, because you know that suicide has taken so many people, and here this person that's still alive, still standing, and still in front of you, and you're thankful that it's happening, and you've played this small little part in it happening, and you're just kind of, we're like, what are you even supposed to say to that? And so I still haven't figured it out. So I'm just like, I'm usually just like, that's incredible, and just try to love on them and give them a big hug.
Perfect. So I know I've wandered, and the reason we've only got a few minutes left, but the reason I came here
Oh, you
is
can have all the time you want with me, man. I ain't doing anything today.
Skeleton Psalms. What was the obviously the new single is on there, Sound the Alarm, but what was the reason to put that all together, and how did that come about?
So we've kind of developed the pattern of writing an album and then having like a whole bunch of songs left over. And it's usually the leftover songs are not because they weren't good enough to make the original album, like a traditional B-side, It's usually because, well, like this time, for example, we wanted to do 10 songs, and we didn't want to do any more than 10. We were going to put out, because we always put out more than 10. And for financial reasons and time constraint reasons and all these other kind of reasons, we were like, we're just going to do 10. We're going to do what the contract says, 10 tracks for once in our career. We'd never done it before. It's first time ever. And so we're going to do 10 tracks. And so we just had all these songs left over. And mostly it was because we were only doing 10, but also it was that we just didn't get around to finishing those. And so our thing that we've got into the habit of is putting out deluxe editions of the album. And so what happens on those deluxe editions is we'll just go back and finish some of our favorite ones that didn't get finished. And Sound the Alarm, and a song that came out a few months ago called If You Say So were a couple of our favorites. There's a couple more coming out. And the full deluxe album will come out on April 25th. And so it'll have 4 new songs, a remake of a song with a feature from the lead singer of Decipher Down is going to join us on a song. It's going to have 6 live tracks and even an EDM remix of a song on there. So a whole bunch of stuff. And I think the live tracks are going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, that's how it came about. We just got into that habit of like, we put out an album and then, whatever 3 or 4 that we thought were really good that we just didn't get around to finishing, we'd go ahead and finish them and put them out.
Nice. Are you taking this out on the road this summer?
Oh yeah, man. I mean, it never stops. Like I said, it's no plan B. So if I'm wanting to grill some hamburgers, for my family, then I gotta go play some shows.
Anyway, if fans want to find you guys, can you give us all your socials and all that fun stuff?
Oh gosh. Yeah, it's pretty easy. It's Disciple Rocks, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube is the best one to be a part of. Also, our Patreon is patreon.com/Disciple Rocks. That's the best way to support us financially is through our Patreon.
Thank you, my friend. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you. Great talking to you.
Hopefully we'll see you on the road somewhere. Be well.
Okay, buddy. All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey everyone, this is Bjorn from Soulwork, and this is Brutally Delicious.
The Brutally Delicious Podcast. The Brutally Delicious Podcast. The Brutally Delicious Podcast. The Brutally Delicious Podcast.
Hey there, heavy metal maniacs and kitchen crusaders. I'm Bruce Moore, the host of the Brutally Delicious Podcast, where we whisk up a blend of metal and food to quench even the most discriminate tastes. Have you ever wondered what your favorite metal musician chows down on before they hit the stage to melt your face off? Well, look no further. Here at the Brutally Delicious Podcast, we have cooking segments so brutal they'll make your oven want to headbang. From beefy, bodacious burgers, to spicy, succulent salmon, to kickin' caliente cauliflower, and more. We mix metal and culinary creations, resulting in a feast for the senses.
But wait, there's more.
Hey, this is Michael Monroe. Brutally Delicious. Isn't that beautiful? See you down the road.
Each week, I meet with the mammoths of metal for interviews that are spicier than a Carolina Reaper. Get the latest on their upcoming shows, behind-the-scenes stories, and if we're lucky enough, maybe they'll share a secret family recipe or two with us. You'll also want to check out our weekly album and show reviews, where we dice, slice, and serve up our unique takes on the latest metal releases. So grab your leather apron, crank to volume 211, and subscribe to the Brutally Delicious Podcast on your favorite podcast platform. It's sure to be a hell of a time.
Oh, hey there. It's Tim from Protest the Hero. Now that you've seen my junk, I'm going to show you how to make a pizza. And you're watching Brutally Delicious.
What's up, everybody? Max Cavalera, Soulfly, and you listen to Brutally Delicious Podcast. Stay mad, motherfuckers.
Welcome to us talking about our podcast for a minute.
What's the name of that podcast?
That's Axe to Grind, and right now you're going to be getting a little taste of it, right down to the shaky microphone and all.
And my name's Bob.
And my name's Patrick, and usually we're joined by Tom.
Tom's the best. Tom has a real grown-up job that requires him to be at work, but we talk about decidedly not so grown-up things like
hardcore music and things that people that like hardcore music tend to like.
So that could be the latest shows, revisiting classic material, talking about the new classics, all the little dorm room nonsense that you imagine from niche music podcasts that you either love, want to love, or hate.
Yeah, imagine all the emotions that you have towards a genre that has impacted your life, and then condense them down to an hour to 2 hours a week.
So triangulate your speakers, think about jumping off the bed, singing along, dancing like an idiot, and listen to Axe to Grind podcast.